This year was the first time we would try the Elf on the Shelf with our kids. We have 3 kids, Lucas, Andy, and Claire, where Lucas and Andy are from our past relationships. However, Miles, my husband, has accepted Andy as his, and so did I. Lucas. Every Christmas is special for Andy. His BD is on December 24th. His dad started a tradition where Santa would have consideration with him for being a kid of Christmas. So he feels magical and special. I always try to give him that. Last year, I left Santa Claus footsteps, ate a carrot and grass he left for Rudolph, stuff like that. My husband doesn't think it's a good idea I do all that for him, and I'm showing favoritism. So, we should shut it down, because of my ex's decision to create a tradition without considering my other kids' feelings. I disagree since I do consider the 3 of them. But he asked if we could sew SMTH else, like the Elf on the Shelf. I had no problem with it, but I didn't know how that works. He explained me quickly. And since he was the one who offered, I let him do it. We bought the cute elf. My kids named it Bob. Later my husband explained them they should behave, and never touch, hold Bob if they don't want it to be naughty. At first, it was cute to see them spy on Bob, try to see it fly each night. Andy was the most excited of all. I found him one night talking with it, asking it if Santa still remembered him. But my husband took seriously the behave or Bob would be naughty part. Lucas was his first victim after he didn't do his chores. The next day, his face was drawn with Sharpie markers. Then Claire, who touched Bob and her fave onesie was destroyed. Apparently, Bob had cut some pieces of it. While she was sleeping, Miles was having fun, but I could see my kids weren't. I talked to him about how we should lower the pranks. He agreed but wanted to catch Andy since he hadn't break any rules. I told him that Bob's supposed to tell Santa instead of being naughty. We argued but he finally agreed. Fast forward, it's Christmas Eve and in the afternoon we had some of Andy's friends to celebrate his BD. So the kids were playing in backyard. But my husband looked sus. I decided to look for Bob. It was supposed to be in the kitchen but it wasn't there. I asked Miles where it was and he told me, no idea. I started getting paranoid, but Andy asked me if we could cut the cake already. I put my best face on and went for it. The cake was in a box, and when Andy opened the box, he starts crying. I take a look and it's ruined. Bob was covered in all of it, appearing he had been eating the cake. Half of the cake wasn't there anymore. Miles starts laughing and so did some of the other parents. My blood is boiling and I grab Bob and throw it in the trash, then I grabbed Miles. We have a terrible argument, calls me an AH for what I did to Bob, that I've ruined it. How are we supposed to keep the magic with our kids if I wasn't supposed to touch Bob? I'll start this off by saying I'm a born and raised vegetarian. I've never eaten meat, let alone learned to prepare it. My husband and I are newly married, and recently bought our first apartment. It's small, but it's ours, and it's across the road from his place of work, which was a bonus since he is often on call. For his family tradition, the most recently wed couple hosts Christmas dinner. I initially tried to offer it to my sister-in-law, as she had wanted to host the year previously. But brother-in-law married 2 months after her before Christmas, so she never got the opportunity. Additionally, we are a vegetarian home, and our 1-bedroom apartment isn't ideal for hosting. While my sister-in-law was thrilled, the rest of the family insisted that we had to host. I was told that as long as I got food for everyone that it would be fine. Here's where I might be the asshole. I misunderstood. I thought this meant as long as I had enough food, and made sure to accommodate food allergies, that they would be happy. Christmas Day my husband had work until 4 p.m, so I was left preparing dinner alone, but I still put together a feast, including a plant-based roast. People started coming over, and even commented on how delicious everything smelled. Once my husband arrived, he greeted the family and joined me in the kitchen for finishing touches and taking everything to the table. The family began to gather, and a few people commented on how good everything looked until father-in-law asks where's the ham. My husband explained that I wasn't comfortable making meat, especially ham since undercooked pork can be especially dangerous, and that instead we had a plant-based roast alternative, and father-in-law proceeded to make remarks about how they drove an hour for plants. After even the people who made positive comments changed their tune, talking about how it was missing something, etc. At one point mother-in-law said that she wished they'd had sister-in-law host. My husband snapped, and told them to stop disrespecting the meal, and myself since I worked hard on it. Mother-in-law argued back that I disrespected them by not respecting their dietary choices, and that she believed she was clear when she told me to prepare food for everyone. My husband told her that if she was going to continue to be disrespectful that she could leave. Shortly after everyone left, but my husband has been getting texts since about how my selfishness ruined Christmas, possibly the last father-in-law would be around for. I feel horrible that he's in the middle of all this. This was my mistake, but at the same time, I was clear we are vegetarian and that I didn't even want to host. I guess I'm looking for an outside perspective. Am I the asshole? On Christmas Day, my in-laws came around to see my partner, son, and I. We had no idea they were coming around, they had never mentioned it, and we had told them that we were wanting our first Christmas as a family to be quiet and just the three of us. We were planning on just hanging around the house, wearing PJs, eating takeout food, playing video games while son napped. As this was the plan, I had decided to do a heavy oiling on my hair and wrap it up in plastic wrap to keep the heat in. My partner is cool with me doing heavy oiling. Usually I wear it to bed with my hair wrapped in plastic wrap and my bonnet on top, and he had encouraged that I did a heavily oil during the day on Christmas. In the early afternoon, I went to the door and my in-laws were there. Mother-in-law, father-in-law and brother-in-law. They had decided that we had already had the morning to laze about and they had come around so son could open his presents. Son is 7 months old. He has no interest in presents and has no idea what is going on, which is why we were having such a low-key Christmas. They weren't impressed that we weren't dressed, but even less impressed that I had such oily hair. Mother-in-law took me aside in the kitchen and berated me for not taking pride in my appearance and for looking so slobby when I should have expected them to turn up. I told mother-in-law that she should just be glad that we had clothes on, as we could have been naked, as we had told people we wanted a quiet Christmas. She was offended that I had dared to suggest we could have been naked, especially with son in the house. Partner thought it was funny that I had told her we could be naked and has suggested that next time when they turn up unannounced that we answer the door naked. My in-laws weren't happy that we weren't dressed or expecting them yesterday. We both received texts from mother-in-law and brother-in-law having a go for the state we were in, and for me having oily hair that was wrapped in plastic wrap as I looked ridiculous. Mother-in-law expressed her disdain at the naked comment. Partner messaged them back and told them that we are allowed to dress how we like in our own home, and if I want to oil my hair then I can. He also told them that from now on, we are a nudist home, and if they are going to be prudish about it then they can arrange a time where they would like to meet us outside of the home. Mother-in-law has been messaging me separately, telling me that I looked slobby and should be ashamed of myself, as partner shouldn't have to see me in that state. While partner is really supportive of what I do to care for myself, it's got me wondering if this was an asshole move on my part. Am I the asshole for answering the door with my hair heavily oiled?